Ski season may be wrapping up, but it's the perfect time to shift gears from powder days to patio days with Patio Place at Ski House. With 3 locations in Salem, New Hampshire, where you can shop tax-free, Woburn and Framingham, Massachusetts, Patio Place at Ski House is your one-stop shop for everything you need to transform your outdoor space. From premium patio sets and umbrellas to fire pits and accessories, they've got your summer setup covered. Shop online, then swing by to test it, feel it, and get expert advice from the pros. Your dream backyard starts here, and every order is placed in store. Whether you're hosting neighborhood barbecues or just soaking up sunshine with your morning coffee, the Patio Place at Ski House helps you make the most of outdoor living. Stop by Salem, Woburn, or Framingham and head to skihouse.com. That's skihaus.com to check store hours and get exact locations.
Welcome to Season 4 of the Ski Moms Podcast. We're your hosts, Nicole and Sarah.
We're so excited to share our new website with you, theskimoms.co. This is where we celebrate the art of balancing family life with a passion for skiing. Whether you're a lifelong skier or embarking on your first family snow trip, our site is your premier destination for expertly curated advice, inspiration, and community. When you click on, you're going to find information about the podcast, discounts, events, gift guides, our shop, our family rentals, and much more. Head to theskimoms.co to start your next adventure. Sarah and I are back to share some of our favorite episodes from last year that you may not have had the opportunity to listen to. We're starting off our Listen Again series with Tess Miner-Farra from the Winter Sports School. It is a special school in Utah. So, Sarah, tell a little bit about why you even wanted to interview Tess.
Well, I think many of us, at least on the East Coast, are familiar. If we're ski moms, we've heard of the ski academies in New England. And I don't think as many of us know about this amazing option, the Winter Sports School in Park City. It is a public charter school, which I think makes it incredibly unique considering the tuition prices at the ski academies themselves. 9th to 12th grade students. It serves about 150 students. I see a lot of really successful athletes coming out of there over the past few years.
Yeah, and as parents, as we're wrapping up the school year and as parents are looking into, maybe their kids want more ski racing or they want more, time on the mountain, we know it's really hard to fit in with the school year. And this was such an interesting piece of the puzzle. This is a solution for the academics, for kids who feel really torn about being able to train as much as they want to train. But this doesn't solve the training solution. Winter Sports School will not find you coaches, but it will find you a rigorous academic program for kids who really want to throw themselves into their sport. And I also love that it's not just for skiers. So your skier may be sitting next to an ice skater or a cross-country skier or a Nordic jumper, who knows? But we just want to put this back on your radar as an interesting solution to the puzzle for families who want their kids to have a winter experience that does not do that shuffle between, that dance between school and training that can really wear kids out.
Right. They have a very unique school schedule. The school runs from April to November, their calendar. And then the athletes are able to focus on their winter sports all winter, which is unlike the traditional boarding schools and ski academies.
So we think you guys should give this a listen. Let us know your thoughts in a comment. You can send us an email. We'd love to hear from you how you're solving the problem of getting your kids more time on the hill if they are, chasing those dreams of being a ski racer. And thanks as always for being a part of the community. The Ski Moms are very excited to talk with Tess Miner-Farra today. She is the head of school at the Winter Sports School in Park City, Utah. This is a unique school, and we are going to be learning all about what it offers young athletes and their families. So welcome so much, Tess.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to share my story and our school with your audience.
Well, we normally like to jump in with your ski story, but before we jump into that, can you just give us a brief, if somebody just landed on the planet of skiing, a brief overview of what the winter sports school is.
Sure. Yes. We are a public charter school in Utah, located in Park City. We serve students 9th through 12th grade in a variety of sports, most of which are winter sports, but not all. And we run a non-traditional academic calendar that starts in April and ends in November. So our students can spend their winters focused entirely on their ambitious sport goals.
Okay, now I'm sure that every listener is hooked because they want to hear more, but we're going to now back up in time a little bit. And we want to know how you got into skiing and how this became your career path.
It's interesting because I grew up in Manhattan. I skied maybe a handful of times in my youth with my dad, who lived in upstate and loved getting his city kids out whenever he possibly could in any way. We spent more time out in the woods in the backyard on metal edged cross country skis with three pin bindings, but occasionally ventured to, let's say, West Mountain or Gore for a ski day. But in truth, I never formally learned to ski. Instead, I learned to get by following my now husband, who grew up skiing on every type of skis, an Olympian himself. I'm still falling behind most of the time, often on skis in the winter, but mostly on the hiking trails these days. So my career in skiing is really a recreational one and mostly on cross country.
So tell us about your career path then to becoming the head of the school.
Sure. Yeah. So I always knew I was interested in being in education. I grew up with a family of educators and writers, and launched my career in education as a teaching fellow at Phillips Andover Academy. Knowing that I wanted to be in education my entire life, I pursued a graduate degree, but at the same time, I was falling in love and following along behind my now husband, who himself was an Olympian in 1992, and that our life together actually ended up back in New York at what was then the National Sports Academy in Lake Placid, New York, where he had been a student. And we were a perfect dream team couple to come and work with the student athletes there, my education background and his background in sport. And so spending 6 or so years before we started our family teaching and working with these incredibly energetic, passionate kids in a variety of Olympic sports really just solidified the fact that our lives were probably going to be always entwined with sport and education. After moving to Northern Maine and working with student athletes while we started a young family, we've moved back to Utah following again his career with the U.S. ski team at that time. And I continued in education, mostly at private schools. We have a daughter who attended the winter sports school, and a couple of years after she started, I followed her.
It sounds like you really found a great pathway for your combined passions, and wanted to know a little bit about when the school started and the history of the winter sports school.
So the school started in 1994, really as a partnership between the then Park City ski team and a group of parents and educators who were seeking to find a better solution for their aspiring young athletes who were trying to strike this balance between the demands of training and the demands of school. They wanted to find a way that they could stay local, not have to move somewhere across the country to be able to pursue training and competing at a high level, while also maintaining a rigorous college preparatory academic program. And for 20 years, that was the model until 2014, when the Board of Trustees and the school leadership sought to become a public charter school here in Utah to be able to provide the opportunity for this unique model to a wider swath of student athletes here, and to serve students in our community, in a community that's filled with world-class Olympic venues and has an Olympic legacy. So we've been able to now for the last 10 years be a public charter school serving about twice the number of students we were serving before.
Yeah, you cannot swing a cat in Park City without hitting an Olympian. I mean, and then it's just a matter of like, are you, is it bronze or higher? I guess what my next question is that Sarah and I know the East Coast ski academies. We know what that feels like. It's on a more traditional-ish school year. and they cram the training in around the more traditional academic calendar. And they kind of learn remotely during those big training blocks. Now, the winter sports school has a very different setup. Tell me about that setup and why you feel like that is the best thing for your athletes.
Well, I mean, the first difference is we don't do sports. Ironically, the winter sports school focuses on students' academic programs in preparation for post-secondary study, whatever that life might look like. Instead, we leave the sports to those world-class sport clubs that are in our region. So that model that runs from April to November asks our students to be all in for academics during a condensed school year that runs during what should be their off season. Although these days now we know that pursuit of athletics is year round as well. And then I know it really frees them up and takes that burden of balance off of them during the winter. And really, that's why we feel like it's a really successful model, because our academic programs are live, in person, 5 days a week, 8 to 3. We are a more traditional academic model in terms of live face-to-face schooling. But what we leverage, I guess, is the small community with an understanding of what these students are trying to do. We have a staff that's committed to the mission of the school so that we can continue to find ways to be as flexible as possible to accommodate their varying needs during our condensed school year. And then we send them off, right? Send them out into, into the outdoors to spend those nearly 5 months really being able to focus on their athletic training and competition and not have to juggle.
This summer, I'm heading to the national parks in Utah, and Skeeta is coming with me. For long hikes under the desert sun, I'm packing my Sun Tour. It's a lightweight, UV protective gaiter made from breathable, moisture-wicking fabric, so I stay cool and comfortable mile after mile. I'll also have my nylon patch cap. Perfect sun coverage, and it looks great in every photo. And when we're back at the campsite unwinding by the fire, I'll be in my Visca pant, super soft, stretchy, and ideal for post-hike relaxing. Skeeta is adventure-ready year-round. Shop now at skeeta.com. That's SKIDA.com.
Well, I think this sounds like such an amazing structure, and I really, truly wish I had known about this. I'm sure Nicole and I and many parents of kids in ski academies have gotten the crying phone call, whether it's from a ski camp or a race series, where they're kind of coming undone because they're trying to study for a test while they're also trying to get their skis waxed and prep for the race tomorrow. So I love the idea that it's like focus on school and go all in, and then focus on your sport. That sounds amazing. Tell us about the current student makeup. And you had mentioned that there are a variety of sports as well. So I'd love to hear about the students and the sports makeup as well.
Sure. As a public charter school, we serve mostly Utah resident students from our immediate region. We are a tuition-free school, so that allows for us to be a school of choice here in Utah. Our students, we have about 115, 120 students year over year. Of those, 30 to 40% of them typically are alpine ski racers. Another 30 or so percent represent free ski and freestyle disciplines, park and pipe, slope style. We have local skiers and aerial skiers. And then we do have, I think this year I counted, we have about 17 different sports represented, including some of those smaller winter sports, such as snowboarding, biathlon, cross country. We have ski mountaineering. And then we have students who are in some non-winter sports like surfing and sport climbing. And we've had equestrian athletes. And so really we have, and many of our athletes are multi-sport athletes, right? That they are also participating in interscholastic sports in more traditional football, baseball, soccer. We have ice hockey and lacrosse represented. And so often what we find is that we have students who are committed to being able to train and compete at a high level and look at our model as an opportunity to do both better.
It's so intriguing. And I love the fact that there is a concentration of different types of athletes as well. and they can, sometimes it gives you a psychic break to not always be talking about your specific sport and to hear the, thrills and terrors of being like a skeleton athlete or being a surfer. I think that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit about the academic load there. Are you looking at something that's more of a traditional high school, or, at the ski academies, they really do pare it down to 4 basics, and then you can add a language if you choose?
Sure. Good question. Again, as a public charter school, we need to meet all the same high school graduation requirements as any other student in the state of Utah. We are absolutely focused on a college preparatory program of study that does emphasize those cores in math, science, and English, social studies, and Spanish for us. But we do also offer coursework in the arts and in career technical education, of course, health and general financial literacy. So we were able to meet all of the requirements for the state of Utah with, again, a pared down focus on those core areas, much like the ski academies. Our students earn about 7 credits a year, typically, including credit they earn in PE based upon the training and competition they do outside of school.
And I guess we should not bury the fact that you said it was free, taxpayer supported. How is that possible? And then, I will say that having spent enough time in Utah, and I've met some legislators there, I've met some nonprofit leaders there from Ski Utah, it is the most can-do state I think I've ever experienced. I think people in Utah think of why not as opposed to why.
Absolutely. Yeah. Utah is a charter friendly state for sure. And that as long as, those interested in starting or running a charter school present a motivating case for why a school of choice that allows this kind of focus is going to serve students in the state of Utah. Utah's pretty supportive. And so, yeah, we do get public support. We are a state chartered school rather than a district charter. And so taxpayer money does support the education of our students, which is why, although we do enroll a few students that come from outside of Utah, those students do have to pay tuition because we cannot use public funds to educate non-Utah residents.
Well, that leads me to wondering about, what does the application process look like for the school?
Sure. For those who live and are Utah residents, our application process is a lottery system. Students simply need to indicate their desire to enroll and attend our school to verify their residency and also their grade level so that they are eligible to attend our school. And then we run lotteries during our admissions cycle 4 times a year to be able to fill any available spots in every grade level and create wait lists for those who don't make it through the first lottery. Let's put it that way. And then for non-Utah resident students, we have a pretty simple but more traditional selective admissions application process whereby students submit an application form, indicate their desire and reasons for wanting to attend our school. And then we do ask for a coach's recommendation, a teacher recommendation to determine their right fit for our community.
And it's not a boarding school. It is a day school, right? Correct? So if a family was coming from out of state, they would really need to settle in somewhere.
Absolutely. Yes. That is another difference between ourselves and many of those ski academies is we are exclusively a day school. So homestays need to be arranged for students to come and attend from out of state.
I'd love to hear more about just the flow of the year, but I understand that I think you said April to November, we're all in school. Are they working with winter sports school coaches in the winter, or what does that look like in the winter months?
Correct. Yeah. No, again, we have very little to do with the sports part of their lives. Instead, our students have the flexibility to choose the sport club and the coaches they prefer. And so, again, we have here in Park City, of course, Park City Ski and Snowboard Club really is the major club, but there are lots of clubs in our region, and our students will participate and receive their coaching from those clubs. And then those who do attend from out of state may be coming to train and compete with a Utah club, but some may still compete with their home clubs in the winter. Go back and train, do some summer training here and go back to wherever it is they're working with coaches.
What type of teachers and administrators are attracted to this type of school? Do they all have Olympic medals around their necks, I'm guessing?
I wish. Um, but no, actually, I don't. I will say that what happens is teachers and staff find us because they discover and love our mission. Many do have a background in sport themselves. They continue to be athletes at some level or another, but they embrace the mission. They find us and stay with us because they can't quite imagine teaching anywhere else. Our teachers have come from more traditional teacher pathways, but also from private schools like myself and also from industry. And they just are really driven by the passion and motivation they see in these kids. And they think, geez, there's a way I can be part of helping these kids succeed in all the ways they seek to succeed. Because our kids, overwhelmingly, we attract kids who are ambitious, both athletically and academically, that they want to open doors for their futures and want to make sure that they can achieve at the highest levels for themselves in all areas.
What would be some of the challenges that a family would want to consider to thinking about this type of non-traditional schedule for their children and their family?
Sure. Yeah, it is a very, very good question because we know that in order for this to be successful, it not only needs to be driven by students who are motivated to be able to do this, but also families really do need to buy in, because you almost automatically become a family that has kids in school 12 months of the year. If you've got younger students who are still in other school settings. And so families need to consider that they also need to become more flexible with their own calendars and schedules to be able to make sure that they allow their winter sports school student athletes to be here and all in on their academics during that April to November timeframe. They also need to understand that as a small community, we become, of course, much more focused getting to know those individual students and helping to personalize their education. And so that parents become partners with us in ways that perhaps they may be less involved in a larger, more traditional high school, at least here in Utah. And one of the fundamental advantages is they get to keep their kids at home, right? And be part of their daily lives in ways that maybe they see as a trade-off if they send them off to a ski academy elsewhere.
This episode is brought to you by Loam, the ultimate mountain biking pass for families who love to ride together. With access to top bike parks across the country, your Loam Pass will make it easy to plan summer adventures on two wheels. Whether you're new to mountain biking or raising the next downhill champion, Loam has a trail for every rider. Pass holders get over 100 days of riding at more than 50 destinations across North America. Explore bike parks, shuttle services, and exclusive perks with your pass. Ski Mom listeners get 15% off with code SKIMOMS2515 at loampass.com. That's LOAM pass.com. And our discount code is SKIMOMS2515 for 15% off your pass. Hit the trails with Loam and the Ski Moms. Yeah, 100%, especially those early years, 9th and 10th grade. I mean, these kids are not, their frontal lobes are not fully developed. And, from having seen the ski academies up close and personal, some bad decisions get made in those early years when you give them too much rope on the leash or too much slack. And there is a lot of wisdom to having them home and having the guidance of mom and dad right there. How exclusive is it? Are you turning away more people than you're accepting? Could there be a second winter sports school in Utah? Is there enough interest in it at that level?
Sure. We do have a lot of interest. We are, again, a public charter school, which means we don't have selective admissions when it comes to Utah students. If we have a space available and we are a good fit for those students and families, we offer them enrollment. Every year we have a wait list at some grade levels and not at others, because we have such a small community. We enroll no more than 30 per grade level. And sometimes we end up with a wait list at 10th grade, but have a couple of spots available in ninth grade. But we are looking to expand our school, maybe not a second winter sports school, but an expansion to our building to be able to accommodate more students for whom this might be just the right model. And of course, as of today, with another Olympic Games coming to Utah in 2034, we expect that our model will become, we'll have more demand as Utah becomes, a hub for youth sport development in leading up to the next games.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, why more states haven't taken this model on. I mean, it seems like a great fit for the Vail area. I mean, Vermont, New Hampshire, there certainly could be, but I think it's something again to do with that startup mindset that exists in Utah, that it's very supportive to athletes' dreams, which is completely amazing. That leads me to, where have some of your students gone on to? Do they go to traditional colleges? Do they go on to compete exclusively, or is it a mix of both?
Yes, yes, and yes. They do, right? Our students do go on to compete often for decades as professional athletes and become Olympians and make a life and career out of that. But they also come to us with the plan to be able to prepare for whatever that post-secondary might look like. Our students, our graduates, are going on to Ivy Leagues. They're going on to engineering schools. They're in med school and law school now. We have alumni students currently enrolled at places like Stanford and Dartmouth and Berkeley and Harvard and Williams, Bates, Colby, UCLA, NYU, across the spectrum, coast to coast, our students are achieving their post-secondary goals, whether it is they go straight into competing full-time for their athletic careers and then attend college, or spend 4 years with us enjoying all of their sport training and development and parlay that into admission to some of these most elite institutions across the country.
So when would be the best time if someone was interested? Let's just say they're local to Park City. I'm guessing they already know about this, but when's the best time to see this school?
Well, of course, it is best to come when we're in session. Right? While we do give tours year round, an empty building is pretty boring, and so anytime between April and November, we're bringing students and families in to take a short tour. We have students that do come and shadow during our school day so they can follow along another student and see what life is like here, but really any time of the year, because we do know that a lot of families may come to Utah during the winter, of course, to participate in their sports. And so we remain available to be able to meet and have discussions with families about our unique school anytime.
But for those of us that maybe won't be able to get there, does this just look like any traditional high school? Give me a little bit of the visual.
When you walk into our building, it does look like a traditional school with lockers lining the hallways. We actually do occupy essentially a 10,000 square foot home. It was built as a spec home and sat empty for a very long time. It was renovated in 2014 to be able to build in classrooms and spaces that are more suitable for academics. So the garage has become our science lab and art studio, let's say. So from the outside, you wonder what kind of building you're walking into. And on the inside, it looks very much like a class, like a traditional school with some interesting shaped classrooms. And all of them are multi-purpose spaces because we are bursting at the seams to be able to find all of the space to accommodate the students that we have.
So there is a little bit of fundraising involved in your job as well, it sounds like. Do you have some private partnerships that help support the winter sports school?
We do not have private partnerships outside of the family, alumni, and friends that support us through annual giving on a regular basis. We have partnerships with the local ski clubs and the U.S. Ski and Snowboard, who've recently given us a gift to our capital campaign to help us get to a place where we can expand our school and accommodate more students and build better spaces that are dedicated spaces that better serve our students. But yeah, we run an annual giving campaign every year, and we're in the middle of a $5 million capital campaign, of which we've raised 2.8 so far, and are hoping that this great momentum with our partnership with the ski team, as well as the new Olympics coming to Utah, will help us get to the finish line as quickly as possible and begin to build our new space and grow our new crop of Olympians.
Just got to be such a relief, to Sarah's point earlier, to be able to focus on your academics. I'm sure that there's still, hitting the gym, and there's still some training that goes on, but to be able to devote yourself to your academics with a more curious and rested mind has such huge advantages. Do you really see that in the students?
We do. Yes. They do still have demands, as you point out, in the off season and dry land. And they're still going to late season competitions and early season camps and missing school. But they're doing so in a context where every teacher in the building understands why they're doing it and what are some of the successful strategies we can use to help them support their academics when they do need to miss school. We all know, right, that there are more demands than any of us can ever manage. And for these young athletes, it feels like that continues to just increase on both sides. But what we do see with our students is that they become kids again, right? In a school building with a coalition, essentially, of friends and, of course, a supportive staff. And so they get a chance to really focus on, as you point out, sort of maybe not uninterrupted deep learning and thinking. Right? It's pretty hard to have uninterrupted anything these days with these devices that consume their time. But they're given that ability to come and join a school building with peers who they understand generally and who understand and support what they do. And to, as I said, to be a community of learners again. So it does seem to work really well for them. It's still exhausting. They are still, overworked in every way. But we really value the fact that we can leverage the passion for what they do outside of school to get them to work as hard as they need to in school to earn that payoff.
Yeah, you're making me think about when our girls were, Nicole and I, our daughters they were ski racers, becoming more serious, and we were still living in New York City, dragging them up to Vermont to try to get them training. And we looked at each other and we realized these girls are kind of not thriving on either front because they're missing school. Their teachers don't understand and are not supportive, and they're not getting enough training. And that's when we really talked about, okay, let's look at these ski academies, because it was like we weren't seeing success on either front because they weren't in the right environment to be supported. They weren't getting enough time in school and they weren't getting enough time on the mountain. So I think this model sounds amazing and really sets up these kids for success.
I think it needs to be some sort of Netflix show. The ice skater maybe is dating the, luge racer, and the alpine skier is with the surfer. And, these teachers have all these extremes that maybe they haven't fulfilled. I mean, I might have to start writing a treatment about this. It sounds fantastic. And you could build it in line with the Olympics coming. I mean, this would be in high demand.
Absolutely. Yes. The tagline for our school is competitors for life. So there you go. You've got your title. We're ready to go.
And do you have fun things like clubs or intramural teams or school dances, those sort of things?
We don't have as many. We do have a student government and a National Honor Society. And we do have our school families, which are cross grade level homeroom groups, and they compete in our own fun Olympics during the school year. But the other real advantage that we have is we do have a great relationship with the Park City district schools. And so our students are invited to homecoming and the prom. And many of our students do compete with local high school sports teams in those more traditional sports. And again, the district supports our students, and we're happy to have them also participate in and contribute to the local community in that way as well.
So it sounds like the parent that succeeds at the winter sports school is not somebody who just is planning on dropping the kids off at 8 and picking them up at 3. It sounds like families who are really involved in the community and want to be a part of this high school experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. What we find is that the parents who are buying in are those who think that this is a wonderful opportunity, not only for their students, but for the wider community, and that the school needs to be supported as part of the community at large and the youth sport development circle, right, within the school. And yeah, that they are parents who understand that it's going to take flexibility on their part and also willingness to help problem solve with us when we know inevitably there are going to be challenges that come up that neither has anticipated, and that they know they can count on us to be partners in that because we care deeply about their kids and get to know them.
Well, when a child does get the opportunity to travel, let's say for a training camp in South America, we know alpine skiing, so they do often have September training camps, which is still within your school year. You know, at a traditional ski academy, they often send a couple of teachers down to South America with the kids, and they send them with packets full of work that they have to accomplish. What would happen with a winter sports school student when they say are going to be taking a 2-week training camp away? How does the school support that sort of travel?
In a variety of ways. The first of which is we do coordinate with our local ski club, and that often it happens to be that they schedule those camps so that it overlaps with a 1-week break that we have right around Labor Day typically. So they're missing perhaps not 2 weeks, but a week and a few days. As I mentioned, we do have some members of our staff who also work with the ski club, and we do have a liaison who's a teaching assistant with us, who also is a coach with the local club. And he typically goes on those trips as well to support our students while they're there. We have a pretty well-formed planned absence process where students are completing a Google document, a live Google document that we all contribute to and can communicate through. And then our students do access their academic work on a learning management system. We use the Canvas platform. And so our students do have access to all of their assignments and materials and instructional videos, et cetera, while they're away. And lest there is some question about access to internet, we also do have Wi-Fi hotspots that we can send them with to wherever they go. So we prepare well, we provide some clear expectations, and then we support them when they come back using, again, an advisory homeroom time that we have every single day to get them connected again.
So no excuses that I couldn't get the Wi-Fi in Chile on the glacier in Stelvio.
Correct.
You're sending them with their hotspot, but I'm sure it's still been attempted. Tell us a little bit about what your day looks like now that school is in session.
We have a pretty traditional looking school day that runs from 8 to 3. You know, I'm usually there about 15 minutes or half an hour before students start arriving. We have, a warning bell, and then I'm usually out in the halls ushering them to finish up their Starbucks and get into the classroom, and welcoming them to school. I usually have a series of meetings throughout the day, often pre-planned meetings with students and families, again, in some problem-solving capacity, but also because we are a Utah public school, I lead our school in making sure that we are compliant and following all requirements for Utah. So I'm in a lot of meetings, planning meetings with the Utah State Board of Education and the Charter School Board. And then maybe not every day, but most days I'm also in classrooms observing teachers and students.
I know you do not have winter off. I mean, I'm not under any delusions. The head of school is a 365 job,
yeah.
But let's say it's a little bit less office bound or building bound in the November through March months. Does this afford you and your family the ability to travel a lot, to play outside in the winter? Are you capitalizing on this unusual schedule?
Absolutely, yes. I'm always on call, and it is a year-round job, right? Between debriefing one year and planning for the next school year, and the cycles of reports for the state, follow a more traditional calendar. I am working all winter long, but I have a lot more flexibility. I'm not doing that in the school building most of the time. I spend a good portion of my wintertime volunteering at Soldier Hollow at ski resort for biathlon and cross country races, and trying to keep up with what our students are doing on the snow around the world. And yeah, my husband and I get in the camper van and get out boondocking and trying to tune out the real world as often as possible during that time. And now, especially with Zoom these days, I can hold a board of trustees meeting virtually from a van down by the river somewhere.
That is so exciting. Sarah had her first Nordic ski lessons at Soldier Hollow. We did this whole pre-Olympic tour. I like to think some of my journalism was responsible for getting the bid. We were there to promote how high functioning Utah is and how great condition the facilities are. And if no one has been to Soldier Hollow that is amongst our listeners, it is worth visiting. You can tube if you're afraid of Nordic skiing, but don't be afraid. Please take a learn to ski lesson. And you can even try biathlon there, which is amazing, but it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. Is that what you would consider your home mountain?
Yep, absolutely. It is my home mountain. I race across the snow, not up or down.
It's amazing. So could you describe for somebody who hasn't been there what the trails are like at Soldier Hollow?
Sure. Well, they are challenging trails, although with the renovation that's underway right now, the ability to start on easier terrain will be coming very, very soon. But they're beautiful rolling trails. What's remarkable, especially for those I think who are more familiar with East Coast cross country venues, is when you're up on the trails at Soldier Hollow, you can pretty much see across the valley, right, the Heber Valley, and all of the other trails. It's just a stunning view at any time of day. And my first year back here in Utah, when our kids were still very young, I actually worked at the venue, and my most glorious moments were arriving there first thing in the morning and getting out for a trail check and skiing however many, right, 15 kilometers, just to make sure that the trails were ready for our tourists.
Somebody has to do it. It's like those ski patrollers. I do not begrudge them first tracks. They are working hard and they're not making a lot of money. So by all means, they should get some pristine powder to enjoy. And so does everybody in the family Nordic ski, or you have all the equipment for all of the ways to play in winter?
Yeah, for the most part, yes, we are a Nordic family. I did spend more time at the resorts in Park City when our girls were younger, just to make sure that everyone learned to ski. But I think once our oldest daughter, who's now the biathlete, really started to pick up competing and Nordic, then really all the resources, time, money, etc., spent much more in the Nordic world. And we get to the resort here and there, but mostly we're on cross country skis, whether it's backcountry here in the Heber Valley or at Soldier Hollow or wherever else we can find time and opportunity.
So do you and your husband take the camper van and go off for a few days and stay somewhere in Nordic ski? What does that look like?
Yes. Although in the winter, because he's also in winter sport, he works with the U.S. Biathlon Association. Often in winter, if we take that camper van, especially where we are, we may head south and try and find warmer weather and opportunities to hike during ski season, especially since so much of our time when we are here is out at Soldier Hollow volunteering and skiing before, after, and around those world-class events. But yes, we do have plans. We do sometimes go down to the southern part of the state to find opportunities. We do have plans to head west and get to some more Nordic venues with our Nordic skis in the van.
Alpine, unfortunately, has become a financial arms race. A lot of the extra camps and the equipment. But, Nordic skiing can be done even at a high level on a relatively modest budget. And if you've got the support of the winter sports school, and if you're not looking at, if you've got a parent who can be your coach or trainer, it could really be pulled off. And that's going to be delivering us, the next generation of elite athletes, having these creative ways to train athletes that don't require millions of dollars from their families.
And as you point out, right, in Utah, we are that can-do attitude in state. And so we're going to have the support already. It's been here, but it's going to be further enhanced with, youth development programs like the Youth Sports Alliance in Park City and like the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation, that those are organizations that are really going to be trying to do much of what you've described. And that is provide access to this, sport development for youth in a variety of winter sports. to help grow that crop of homegrown athletes here in Utah for the next Olympics. And they're committed to making that accessible to a wider swath.
Part of the Nordic ski culture, they do have après ski culture, and it should be celebrated more. And it usually involves soup and carbs, which I really, two things I really enjoy. So do you have an après ski system or things that you like to do after your workouts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we are often heading out as early as possible in the morning. Moonlight skis are phenomenal here in our valley. Après ski for us usually involves a good espresso, maybe a great breakfast burrito, a sauna. So we have a small little sauna in our in our garage, and then the rest of the day is sort of for whatever use we'd like, right? And usually for me, it's the escape of a good book.
Well, Tess, I so want to hang out with you. I want to Nordic ski. I want to go get an espresso after we ski. Thank you for your time. And is there anything that you would want to add that we didn't touch on before we let you go?
We're really excited, of course, about the Olympics coming back to Utah, and really hope that we can be, again, part of that team that puts together the supports to allow more and more homegrown Utah athletes to be part of that Olympics in 10 years. So
Sounds amazing. I will say I tried to get my younger daughter. I begged her to say, let's go move to Utah. Let's look at the winter sports school. It's very hard to pull a kid out of their high school, but
absolutely.
In my perfect life, if I were to do it again, I think I'd be in Park City, and I think I'd try to get into that lottery at the winter sports school.
Are you ready to take your love for skiing and family adventures to the next level? Subscribe to the Ski Moms on Substack and unlock exclusive content designed just for moms like you who live for powder days and cherish family time. As a subscriber, you will unlock bonus podcast content and get access to in-depth articles on gear, family-friendly resorts, and tips for balancing life on and off the slopes. This exclusive content will be ad-free, no annoying pop-ups, so you can get to the good stuff fast. Plus, you'll be supporting our growing community of like-minded moms who love skiing and share your passion for adventure. By subscribing, you'll be the first to receive our best content straight to your inbox and get access to exclusive newsletters and insights you won't find anywhere else. Don't miss a single update. Hit the link to subscribe in the show notes and join the Ski Moms today on Substack. Let's make this ski season the best one yet.
Hey, Ski Moms. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and got some great tips for your next family ski adventure. If you had as much fun listening as we did making this episode, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest episodes. And don't forget to rate and review us. Your feedback helps us bring you more of the content you love and helps other ski moms find our podcast. So whether you're on the slopes or just dreaming of your next snowy getaway, stay connected with us. Follow us on social media, share your favorite episodes with your friends, and let's keep this awesome community growing. As always, if you have topics to suggest for future seasons, send me an email at sarah@skimomsfun.com. We love hearing from you.
Looking for the perfect gift for the ski dad in your life? We've got you covered. The Ski Moms Father's Day gift guide is packed with thoughtful, dad-approved picks, from gear upgrades to mountain-inspired finds he'll actually use. Whether he's first chair or après ski all the way, there's something special waiting for him. Find the full guide at theskimoms.co/gift guides and make this Father's Day one to remember. You can also click the link in show notes to see the full guide.